Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first webinar in our webinar series, Easy Talks from Engleasy. We are very excited to start this journey with you. Hopefully, we can benefit you as much as we can. I'm Yoro, the community manager here at Engleasy, and I will be hosting different guests every webinar to cover many topics that we are sure will benefit and interest you. Our guest for today is Doha AboElyazeed. She's the training manager here at Engleasy, and she will be sharing her experience with us when it comes to remote learning and also enlighten us for ways of how to ensure successful and productive distance learning process. Hi, Doha.
Hi, Yara, how are you doing?
Oh, great. How was your day?
Everything is just fine. First of all, I'm quite honored to be here with you, and hopefully in today's webinar with our talk, how they can learn remotely and have, successful career.
Inshallah. Okay, so I will be sharing the screen with you now so I can tell you what we will be covering for today. All right. So first, we will be talking about remote learning, past versus present. Then Doha will be telling us about human reaction to change in general and how they adapt to different situations. We will be also covering the advantages and disadvantages for remote learning. And Doha will also tell us about how to ensure productive and successful distance learning process by giving us some tips for better results. And finally, we will be answering all the questions that you have. So feel free to comment your questions in the comment section below. Also, if you are watching the video recorded, you can comment your question and we will make sure to post the answer later. So let's get started. Okay, so as you know, guys, since COVID started and everything turned upside down, a lot of companies started to be work from home. Many schools and universities switched to online classes. So definitely, we need to learn some ways of how to adapt to that new situation. So as you can see here, during the 20th century, we were depending on traditional learning. We were taking offline classes. We were depending on the interaction, physical interaction between instructors and students. Then at the beginning of 21st century, we became more familiar with the learning, with the remote learning process. People started to watch online classes mainly on YouTube. And then COVID started and everyone went shocked and we started to take online classes 100% depending on online classes. And nowadays we are doing some sort of blended learning. We take offline classes, online classes, and actually I know a lot of schools, they are giving schedules to students where they can take 3 days, for example, online classes and 2 other days at the campus. So definitely, this topic is very important for everyone so we can adapt to that new situation. Okay, so before we get started, Doha is going to tell us more about how humans react to change and how do they adapt to a new situation.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So, generally speaking, when people face a situation where they have to adapt to something new, at the beginning, they feel that, well, like, I can't accept that. I can just accept that easily, and they go then through a process of denial. So, I don't want to do this,
Yeah.
like, this is not real. And I guess this is what has happened during COVID. Like, at the beginning, people were saying that this is not going to affect us. They refused the idea of lockdown. And then people
Yes.
started accepting this idea, like after they have gone through the shock and then denial phase, they started to accept the change that they were going through, and they
Yes.
started maybe looking for new ways in order to adapt with life, adapt with the way that they want to live their lives. They don't want to just stay as they are, they want to continue the process of living. And part of that is learning, and specifically learning English. Of course, that learning English is something that a lot of people have to do, and this is because
Mhm.
of like the world that we're living in. You need English in everything. You need English if you're working, if you're traveling, if you're dealing with people. This is something that is quite essential. So
Mhm.
people's reaction towards that was that, well, we have to go and find an alternative, to find something that we can do
Yes.
regarding the learning process generally, and learning English especially, you know and that's how people started maybe adapting more to the idea of online learning. We have seen schools shifting completely from giving classes to working completely online for maybe a whole year. Same with universities all over the world, also
Mhm.
maybe learning centers and places that offer different courses. They also shifted to that, and this is when people started
Mhm.
to accept the change. And I think this is completely magnificent, because when you look at something like this, you have to uh, I don't know, you have to be kind of surprised regarding the human's ability to adapt to not just changes, but also to problems, how we can find solutions to
Mhm.
these problems and adapt to these changes.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. Totally agree. So from your experience, what do you think the pros and cons for remote learning are?
The pros and cons of remote learning. Okay, so let me first start with the disadvantages or the cons of remote learning, because
Yes.
this is something that I think is a question that every student or each person who wants to maybe try and learn remotely has to think about. This is something that I get asked also a lot about, and I'm sure that everyone who's working in this sector gets to basically answer like questions related to the disadvantages and how they can combat that, uh, and how they can learn effectively through remote learning. So, one of the cons that a lot of people discuss is the lack of interaction. They don't feel that remote classes can be as interactive as other classes, in like offline classes. Okay, and do you think this is because, well, I can see the person right in front of me, right? So this can lead to maybe less interaction. They can just feel free as they would be in an actual class, where they get to move and go from a place to place, and maybe like play games inside of the class and talk and interact with not just the instructor, but also with their classmates. And I guess that this is something that is not really much of a problem if we're thinking about remote learning or online learning. And why is that? It's mainly because online learning now has provided, through like the different applications that we can use, like different methods. So students would be capable of interacting with each other, and also to interact with their instructor. So I don't think really that the idea of lack of interaction is something that is quite hard as some people would assume. Something else that also people talk about is that the there are many distractions. You might be sitting at a place, or maybe at your home, at your work, and you're trying to just like take part of your day, like maybe an hour or something, so you can attend the class and get the benefit out of it. And then you find people maybe passing around you. You might be having like a notification from your phone, someone is telling you that
Yes.
they need you immediately, so you feel the need to just, like, leave your class or leave what you're doing and just go ahead. And this is something that we're going to talk about later, which is you have to find balance. You have to prioritize your tasks, especially if you're working with something new as online learning learning. Also, cons or disadvantages would be trying to again find suitable, maybe application that you can
Yes.
work from or attend your class from. um, a lot of people, they assume that, well, like, online classes, that means that you need to um, be like tech savvy or something, but this is not true at all, because using technology nowadays is something that is quite easy. You can attend a remote class from the comfort of your own laptop, computer, even your phone, and downloading
Yes.
apps, you can easily access your class from it. So I don't think also that this is a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I am also interested in knowing from your opinion, what do you think can be like a disadvantage to remote learning?
I guess the most challenging thing, especially for instructors, is how to evaluate the improvement and the progress for the students, or to give a proper evaluation to the student performance. Because mainly we trust the student to follow certain rules when I'm facing him or when I'm actually interacting physically with him. But I cannot see what he's doing. I cannot see whether he's actually doing 100% his effort efficiently and effectively. So I would be just like guessing whether he's actually
Mhm.
getting improved or no. This
Yes.
is from an instructor point of view. So I guess
Mhm.
this is the most challenging part about remote learning in general.
I'd like to add to that, that also a lot of people, they cannot really understand the fact that learning something can take time, and you have
Yes.
to be completely dedicated to that. If you are willing to achieve a certain goal, then you have to definitely put in some work so you would be capable of
Hmm.
achieving that goal, right? So
Yes.
yeah, like I totally understand that remote learning can be a little bit of like a new idea to people, but I mean, if we're talking about the advantages, then it's extremely flexible. It offers flexibility. As I
Yes.
told you before, you can attend a class from your laptop, from your computer, from your phone. This is something that, you know a lot of people wouldn't really think of as maybe an advantage.
Hmm.
Also, something else that it offers is that, well, you don't have to commute. You know what I mean? If you're going to be attending a class regularly, that means that
Yes.
you have to go and, maybe change your clothes, and then, you have to uh, just, go through transportation or whatever, so you would be capable of attending the class of yours. But I mean, generally speaking,
Mm.
what this offers, what remote learning offers, is that you don't have to do any of that. Again, you can just do it from your
Yes.
home. You know what I mean? So this is something that is definitely like a major plus if we're thinking about the advantages. Also something, and
Yes.
this is something that, I believe in, which is, what people don't really know is that online classes can be extremely similar to offline classes and can have the same benefit, can give you everything that you need, as long as these classes are done correctly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, if you can do that, if you can attend the class and still get the same benefit, and you can do it from your home, no commuting, no extra cost that you're going to spend for commuting, extremely flexible because you can attend it from any, like, device that you have,
Yes.
then why not try it? You know, And I think that this actually remote learning is something that I guess all of us do without actually realizing that we do. You know, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
people started
That's true.
learning a lot through YouTube. And you know, like I'm someone who's actually like I like makeup. You know what I mean? So I didn't actually realize that watching makeup tutorials was extremely beneficial for my
Mm-hmm.
English, because I was just there watching the tutorials
Yes.
and I was listening and listening and listening, and that got me to the point where I felt that I was comfortable in my English. That's of course way
Mm-hmm.
back in the time, you know, when I was maybe a student. And watching these tutorials actually helped me a lot in improving my English. And this is something that I guess if you are a normal person, you wouldn't know that this is how people learn English. You just
Mm-hmm.
sit in an environment where you're capable of practicing a certain skill, and this is what gets you eventually into being good at the language that you're trying to learning. So this,
Yes.
as I was telling you, this is something that, you know, we've been doing a lot, but we haven't actually been realizing that we've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
um, some of the also things that um, is extremely good about remote learning is that it's convenient, you know. So
Yes.
here's the thing. Like this is also from my own experience. I'd be working with someone and he doesn't have to, you know, get a book or something. Like I can just give him the material or the handouts that I'm working from, through sending them through maybe email or through uploading them on the platform that we are working on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, you know, wasn't, it is not necessarily something that you would do if you're taking a class physically. And also relate, like also
Mm-hmm.
with assignments, you know, you can send the assignment to your student at any given time. He can upload it to you at any given time. You can correct it easily for your student. So this is also a plus, because you know, back then in the time you would have to wait for your students in order to hand out their assignments, and then you have to correct it, and maybe this process is going to take like a lot of time. But what online learning is that, like, this is very fast. You can just like upload your assignment, the instructor sees it, and then he can correct it quite
Mm-hmm.
easily. Something else also about how
Yes.
convenient it is regarding your ability to just work with someone and being capable of contacting them at any given time, you know. And this is again a point that I would refer to in the cons. Remember when we were talking about how a lot of people would assume that with online classes there would be less interaction? So this is actually the
Yes.
opposite. What online learning does to you is that it gives you the ability to contact the people that you're working with, whether your classmates, you need them for something to help you with, or
Mm-hmm.
the teacher or the instructor you're working with, or maybe a group of students who are passionate about learning English and they decided to maybe create, you know, a group, so they would be capable of having a
Yes.
conversation. Yeah, so I mean, like, all of these things, they are definitely advantages. And I, from my point of view, like, um I would always, honestly, like me myself, I'd always prefer remote learning to the regular physical learning because of all of these advantages.
Yes. Well, actually, one of the our viewers saying something very, very important here. She's actually saying that also some of the cons that come from the students that they don't take the remote learning seriously and they think it's just for fun. Like they wouldn't even bring a pen or a paper to take some notes down as when they attend an offline class. So this is something really important to put into consideration. Thank you, Wafat, for mentioning this. What I also noticed actually before, that according to one of the surveys, that some people notice that instructors and students are having much greater flexibility and their technical skills are getting improved. The teachers and instructors started to think of more innovative and creative lesson planning, or even new methodology that they are following. So maybe like I mentioned before, the only thing that was challenging to some instructors is the way they were assessing students or how to give proper evaluation to students. Um, Daha, can you tell us more like what should students do to ensure a successful and productive distance learning process as a student?
Yes, definitely. Before I answer that question, I have to get back to Wafat's point because this is very important. This is
Yes.
something that I
Mhm.
think I have mentioned, which is the fact that if you're willing to get the goals that you are trying to, reach, then you have to put in effort. So this is definitely something that students have to understand, and not just students, but I'm talking about people generally. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yes.
um, so I mean, like, definitely they have to think that this is a class like regular classes. They would also have to think what is necessary in order to make this process more successful. So let's say if they
Mhm.
feel that there's something that they are a little bit confused with, they don't really know how they can make this process proper, then they definitely have to ask someone who would like suggest ways in order to help them during this process. And also, on as teachers, there is something that we have to think of, which is a lot of the students that we face and meet, they are kind of shy. I wouldn't say shy, but they are somehow not aware that they are,
Mhm.
that they don't know something. Like, sometimes the
Yes.
problem wouldn't be that you don't know something. The problem might be that you don't know something. You know what I mean? So just in
Mhm.
case, we have to provide them with maybe the rules, not rules, but I would say, like some tips and tricks on how to make this process more successful. So maybe
Yes.
we can tell them that they can bring on maybe a note, and in this note they can keep like some of the important information that is mentioned in the class. There are really like lots of things that we can talk about regarding this. So yeah, getting back to the question that you have asked me,
Mhm.
which is how the students can get the utmost benefit out of this, and how they can learn English, or learn generally successfully remotely. So
Yes.
there is something that is quite important, which is to try to find the balance between your professional life and also between your personal life. So from my point of view, I think that learning English or learning in general is something that you cannot just fit in the area of professional life, because this is something that also can affect your personal life a lot. We get a lot of students who are trying to learn English not because they are they want to get maybe better results at tests, or they are trying to get a promotion, but we have people who are willing to learn English because maybe they want to immigrate. So they need to learn how to
Mhm.
deal with different people. We have also students who want to learn English because they want to be capable of like having interactions with their family members, like their daughters and their sons. We have people who
Mhm.
would like to learn English in order to help their children at school and so on. So
Yes.
this is something that I would see that it's a little bit of a mix between, your professional life and your work life. However, finding balance, generally speaking, is how you can achieve the target, or how you can what you're willing to do. So
Yes.
something that is quite important here is that you have to set up a time where you know that this is dedicated to the thing that you want to learn. Okay. Whether it's going to be through maybe having this time while you're commuting from your work to home. Maybe you can have this hour after you have finished your daily tasks. Maybe you can have this time after you have helped the people around you. It doesn't really matter what time you're going to give to this task or to give to this part of your life. But the most
Yes.
important thing about it is that you make sure that this time is fully dedicated to the thing that I want to achieve. So
Yes.
I would definitely recommend that. would put my work or like any kind of notifications mute if I'm trying to learn something, so it wouldn't distract me, because again, distraction is something that is quite easy to happen. I would definitely also
Yes.
suggest that you try as much as you can to work from a quiet and calm area. I would also suggest that you would try to put on some like goals that you are willing to achieve, and how learning can help you achieve these goals, and to note them down, so you would remind yourself of like why you want to do this and why you are dedicating this time to learning. Also, something else that a lot of people wouldn't really think of is that, again, learning anything can take time. Okay, not just
Yes.
learning, but I mean, even if you're going to the gym and you want like to have a body transformation, so changing your body is going to take time. Okay, so a lot of people would have this feeling of like, I'm gonna do this at the beginning, and they feel like that energy, and then that goes, or that starts to flop slowly. So
Yes.
what I would advise people to do is that they have to have persistence. Okay, and when I'm talking about persistence here, I'm saying that it doesn't really matter if you're jumping like big jumps. This is not how you're going to be learning. But what matters
Yes.
here is that you're going over and over, you're continuing your journey, even if you feel that the jumps that you're making, they are not actually jumps, but they are like, baby steps. These baby steps,
Tiny
if you
steps.
put them,
Yes.
yes,
Hmm.
exactly. If you put them next to each other, eventually you're going to reach your goal. But if you just get a
Yeah.
quick jump and you just stop there, so you stop, you don't learn anything afterwards.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, dedication, persistence, avoid distractions. These would be my top three advice to students.
Yes. Okay. So as an instructor trainer, actually, what do you recommend instructors to do to ensure a successful remote learning process to instructors, not students?
Okay, okay. So I have worked as an instructor myself,
Yeah.
before I became a trainer. And this is why I think that I can understand what they go through. Teaching
Hmm.
generally, not just teaching remotely, but teaching generally can be extremely difficult. Why is it difficult?
Hmm.
Because when you go into a class, you have to, if you have something that is, preventing you from sleep, or you have something that is
Hmm.
annoying you, or you had a fight with a family member, you know, if you work at any other job, you can just, you're not meeting people, so it's very easy. You're just going to go there and you're just gonna do your job, and it's day and it's done. But working as an
Yes.
instructor, you have to go there with energy, you have to go there with a smile. You don't have to make people feel that you're having something, or you're going through something, because this is going to
Yes.
affect them. So this is hard. This is actually very challenging, that you go like, from frowning to smiling.
Hmm.
However, this is the most important thing. If you go into a class with a positive attitude, that like, today I have fixed objectives and I'm going to meet those objectives, and the class is going to be beneficial,
Hmm.
and I'm just gonna go there with big energy. This is how I'm going to have like a successful class. While I
Yes.
was talking about this point, I mentioned the idea of objectives. I have to have fixed objectives for each class. I can just go there, have maybe like material or something, and I say like, well, I'm going to be teaching students this. No, I have to have like a carefully designed approach and objectified plan in order to meet the goal that I am willing to meet with my students. Also, I
Yes.
have to try as much as I can to incorporate the students into the class. Okay, they always say that a successful class is a class that is student centered, and this is absolutely correct. you know
Hmm.
a successful class means that you have to try as much as you can to maintain a low a teacher talking time. What is teacher talking time? It's the time where, as a teacher, you keep speaking, you keep explaining, and you forget about your students. They are not practicing, they are not learning, they are
Yes.
not interacting, you know. So in order to maintain a successful class, you have to incorporate them into the process, you know. So instead of
Hmm.
explaining, elicit. Instead of trying to direct teach, try to, as much as you can, to guide them into discovering the rule. You
Yeah.
know, compare maybe between the different rules. Try as much as you can to help them build like language patterns. This is what is going to help your students to
Yes.
think of the language not as like some rules that they have to memorize, no, but to think of it as a whole. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
having a positive attitude, having an objectified plan, giving your class through a suitable approach, thinking of incorporating the students during the class, these are all very important factors towards meeting a successful
Hmm.
class.
Yes. That is true. Well, we have another comment in here. Hamad is asking, saying great point, but how do the different forms of online learning available today affect personal motivation? And are there certain forms of online learning that are more motivational than others?
There are definitely, in my opinion, I think that there are ways of remote learning that are more motivational than others. As I was telling you, if we
Yes.
are talking about a class where you are just attending the class, you're not participating in it, then how's this going to be motivational? Also, if I am someone
Hmm.
who's working, I am a teacher who's working with a bunch of students, and I'm just talking from my point of view. I'm not allowing them to give me maybe ideas about what they want to learn. This also can be motivational. I have to talk to them, I have to understand their point of views and what they want to learn and their personal objectives and goals. This is how I can get to their minds and help them and motivate them into achieving, you know, their targets and their goals.
Definitely, yes.
But what do you think?
Well, I feel that there's a lot of motivational things that we can do for students. There are some incentives. These incentives actually not just for students. We need incentives for instructors, for even managers, for every single port of or port or an employee or whoever is taking part in an organization. They need incentives to keep going, to be motivated, to feel like, yes, I want to achieve more, I want to impress you more. So we need to provide certain ways to motivate people to be instructors and motivate students to be more clever, more creative when it comes to the content that they are learning. So
Yes.
definitely motivating the instructors and the students is so important in the learning process, whether it's remote learning process, online or offline.
This is a great way to take things. Yes, definitely. If I am
Yeah.
motivated, if I feel that today, like I'm going to give a great class, then probably I'm going to give a
Mhm.
great class. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yes, definitely. So let's like talk about how to achieve better results, not just academically wise, but in general. What things that we can actually do at home to ensure that we are having a productive and successful distance learning process.
Yes. So again, you have to make sure that there are no distractions
Mhm.
around you. Okay, because again, distractions can
Yes.
affect you horribly. This is what I can say. I also have to maybe keep a small note with me, and I can, in this note maybe the new words, new expressions that I maybe meet during my day. This can be actually great because, you know, I wouldn't really forget them. I would also have to listen a lot, like, you know, listening to different resources, whether you're watching videos, you're watching a movie, you are listening to music. This is going to help you on so many levels, you know. So it's not just going to help you improve your listening skill, but it's also going to improve your pronunciation, because, well, you hear
Yes.
something and you imitated later. It's also going to help add lots of vocabulary to to you, so you'd be capable of using these like lexes when you are speaking later on, and also you'd be capable of comprehending the meaning of these words, maybe in so many different situations. So thinking about these tips, these are definitely things that you can do. But
Mhm.
again, like these are only few tips that you can do, but like the bigger picture here is that you have to be dedicated. You have to feel that well, I have a specific target, I'm going to meet that target, and I'm not going to let any distractions affect me. And this is here like self
Yes.
discipline, that I'm not going to allow anything to affect the time that I'm putting into learning, or the time that I'm putting into managing
Mhm.
the task that I have, if we're talking professionally, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is
Yes.
something that is definitely important.
Okay. Well, we have a question here from Yasser, and he's asking back to the point we were talking about being motivated, how we can keep ourselves motivated through online classes. Like, you have to motivate yourself. You're not going to wait for someone to motivate you. How can you motivate yourself? Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree with what you said, that you have to find like the inner source of motivation or energy, and
Yes.
reminding yourself of the target or the goal that you're trying to achieve is how you're going to find motivation.
Hmm.
Let me give you an example that is not related to learning. It's actually related to,
Okay.
again, going to the gym, because actually this is something that I'm doing right now. So this is
Yes.
something that I think about a lot. So
Yeah.
every day, I just like, when I'm trying to run the extra mile, literally, I remind myself that I have a goal and I need to meet that goal. And this and
Hmm.
I tell you also something that my coach told me, and I like, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. I know that it would seem that, like, this is something that we already know, but for me, I don't know, whenever I'm trying to run that extra mile, like the word
Yes.
hits me right there. Which is, she told me that whenever you find a situation and you feel that like you can't push any longer, you have to remind yourself that you still have something extra to give. Just try, and you're going to find that there is something extra to give.
Hmm.
And this is something that it's not just related to following a certain diet, or like changing your body, or even trying to find like a new opportunity, or something like that, but it's also something with learning. You might find
Yeah.
that learning something can be stressful, can be hard, can be challenging, but what you gotta do there is, what, I still think that I have this in me. I can do this. I'm going to push even longer, even if I'm not
Yes.
meeting like the results in a fast way or in a fast manner. Still, they are going to come as long as I have this dedication towards the goal that I'm trying to meet. So this is
Yes.
something that is definitely like a great motivation for myself when I'm trying to learn something new, and I think also for students. Something else, as instructors or as teachers, we should be thinking about is, again, make the class collaborative, make the
Yes.
class energetic,
Engaged. Yes.
and
Yeah.
engaging. Exactly.
Yeah.
Try to talk to your students about their personal goals and why are they trying to learn English, because
Hmm.
talking to them about that, you can find the proper ways into motivating them inside of the class topic that
Yes.
that they are passionate about learning more about. Maybe talk about, like, have a class where you talk about something that is affecting them. So all of these are things that definitely can help students to become more motivated.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. I'm so sad that we are getting to the end of the webinar. But I definitely thanking you for your effort and what you have told us, or your sharing of the experience that you have regarding remote learning. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers, they were very happy listening to your ideas and your answers and everything that you have told us. Guys, I'm reminding you that if you have any questions, even if you are watching the recorded video later, comment your questions in the comment section below, and we will definitely make sure to post the answer later to all the questions and the concerns that you have. All right. So thank you so much again for your time. Thank you so much, Daha, for your time. And Ramadan Kareem, everyone. And wait for us for our next webinar next week, inshallah. Hopefully, we are going to discuss a totally new topic with you and benefit you as much as we can. Thank you so much for your time, guys. And thank you so much, Daha.